All right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. They say that it's better to be late in this world than early for the next. So a few minutes behind here, but we got it all worked out. I want to welcome you. It's good to see you. Good to be back here on set. Also want to tell you this is a good time right now to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and share the Morning Update Show with someone who could appreciate culturally relevant content and information. And I have to bring in our co-host today, Trey. But it's the other Trey.
Oh man,
it's Chef Trey Lamont. I gotta be honest with you though, but Trey Holiday is much better looking.
Hey, you're right about that. She is very, very much better looking than I. So,
man, Chef Trey Lamont, welcome to the Morning Update Show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. Last time that we sat down together, the digs were a little bit different, but one thing for sure is we've been talking for a while.
Yeah, we keep in communication.
Yeah, best thing about me is I keep all the receipts too. So I'm gonna go back down memory lane on some interviews that we've done with you over the last year. We're gonna jump into some headlines here too. And before we get into all the funky stuff, a few things here from the Capitol Hill, CapitolHillSeattle.com, Capitol Hill Seattle blog. And this one here, a monument of Capitol Hill's restricted Black history. Caton Rebel's house considered for landmark protection. And the story is with this, and I think it's a little bit off though, but basically this house was built in 1902, and it's got a storied history to it because Susie Rebels Caton, she was married to, what was her husband's name here? Horace Roscoe Caton, but Susie Rebels Caton was the daughter of Hiram Revels, and people might remember that name. You heard me mention it before. That was the first Black senator way back during Reconstruction days. And so his daughter settled here in Seattle, and they were up there on Capitol Hill. And actually, their son Horace Caton was actually a pioneer in Black media here in Seattle. And they're saying that this house is up for landmark protection. And it says the Catons were one of only 3 Black American families living in today's definition of Capitol Hill before restrictive covenants barred non-whites in 1927. But the only thing about that, though, that's why we need to talk to Stephanie Johnson-Tolliver when they're saying that only 3 Black families in what is now considered Capitol Hill. First AME was built 140 years ago in what is now Capitol Hill. And so that'll tell you that if you built a church 140 years ago, people were within walking distance, that they must have lived in that general area. So it's going to be interesting. There had to be more than 3 Black people living in what's now Capitol Hill for First AME to be there.
Right. I can't speak on any of that because I don't know the history of that, but it would be very interesting to find that out. Yeah,
we're gonna follow up with the Black Heritage Society of Washington State. Where's my camera at here? Which what is it? Okay, so this one's the straightforward one. All right. So, and so something else here from Capitol Hill, Seattle, real quick. Around the community, it says Seattle Girls School plans to break ground this spring on new building and start of new campus in the Central District. And so Seattle Girls School, right there on MLK and Jackson.
Yep.
Right across from Quick Pack where you get that good chicken.
Hey, if you call it in, she says if you call her, she'll make it fresh for you. So, if you go in there and she'll give you a business card, and she says, hey, if you call me ahead of time, I'll make it fresh for you right away.
Yeah, I want to see in the comments, man. What's the chicken gang? That's serious in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a point of contention and debate. Quick Pack.
Hey, man. Tabernacle and Mount Baker Church right there on Sundays, they used to get their chicken right there.
See, you already know. We're going to talk about some history of the CD here too. But again, so Seattle Girls School, and what they're saying, this is a good move for them because they're going to stay in the Central District, real close to Jimi Hendrix Park, to NAM and some of everything else. The Seattle Girls School, 133 students there for girls and non-binary.
Yeah, but what's what I would like to know is what is the diversity in that school now? Because whenever I see droves of the kids going back and forth, I don't see too many of us currently.
Let's talk to the Seattle Girls School. I mean, they said they wanted to intentionally stay in the neighborhood, intentionally stay in the CD. I know Kun's daughter, my niece Alma, she went to Seattle Girls School.
Yeah, no, there's a few, and you always see that, but I do know of a few independent schools, independent private schools that are very intentional and have their DEI committees reaching out and trying to get blocks of students of color if they can afford or not afford it. So, I would like to know what they're doing to include that as well.
All right. Well, sounds like, I guess Nikki always got a long list of follow-ups over there. We put that one on the list. Yeah, what's it looking like over at Seattle Grove School? All right. So big news over the weekend. It looks like there's a 6th Seattle police officer that was in Washington, D.C.
A 6th Seattle police officer was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, the day of the U.S. Capitol riots. That's according to the Office of Police Accountability. The office initially started an investigation into 2 officers after photos showed them in our nation's capital on the 6th, while since then additional officers self-reported being in D.C., bringing the total now to 6. An investigation is underway to determine whether they engaged in any illegal activity or violated any department policies. Seattle Police Chief Adrian Diaz says if it's determined that any officers were directly involved in the attack on the Capitol, he will immediately fire them.
Trey Lamont.
Oh, man. My question to that is, these folks are asking for the FBI and Secret Service and, all the people at hand trying to investigate this. They are asking us to reach out to them to give names of people that we recognize and stuff, and family members and friends to basically rat these guys out. But I want to see them rat these officers out just the same, because we would like to know, because we know these people, and if we know good and well, if it was me or you, they would have put our names on there. They would have pulled up our history and all sorts of stuff. And I want to know these officers' background, and as well as knowing their history on how many investigations they've had in the past, and so forth.
Oh, that good stuff. Well, and there's 2 tracks on this. There's the track of like, well, hey, you know what? If officers went there, they attended the rally part of it, if they didn't enter the Capitol, they exercised their free speech, right? The other side of this, though, is that this rally was put together to protest and in some places try to stop the actual peaceful transfer of power, the certification of the vote. People went there January 6th, with the intention, a good portion of them, to actually stop or protest against this transfer of power. So, on one side, people went there, they just listened, they didn't break any laws, and they didn't break any law. The other side is like, damn, dog, this is what it was all about. That's why it was January 6th and not the 5th, not the 7th.
But they are officers of the peace, right? Correct?
Yeah.
That's the oath they take, officers of the peace. Did they keep that peace while they were there? No matter where you are as a police officer, when you take that oath, even if you're not in your jurisdiction, you are obligated, just like a doctor, to keep the peace as well as possible. So did that happen? Did they step out of their jurisdiction and say, hey, you guys are committing a crime, so let me do my duty?
Yeah. Well, this is under investigation by OPA, and so it keeps you there. But also right now, though, so NPR came out, KUOW, and said that Seattle actually has the biggest contingent. And so the other day, it was like a debate whether like Seattle and Philadelphia was tied for the most number of officers. But man, we like to meet and beat expectations in our city. And so to be clear, I think that we're totally in the lead, not tied with any other city for the most officers that were out there in Washington, D.C. And for good measure, you never know. Another person might come out. Be up there 7,
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Well, let's see how this one plays out. All right, sticking here to some of the local economy and something that impacts somebody like you actually has a business and restaurant downtown. The Canadians, man, they've canceled cruise season again. Let me play this clip.
For the second year in a row, Seattle's cruise season has been canceled. Last season's shutdown brought on a $900 million loss to the economy. With business on pause again, industry leaders are concerned about how to climb out of this latest setback. Canada extending its ban on cruises creates a multi-layered economic impact, not only here in Washington, but in Alaska as well.
So many businesses really depend on cruise and the tourism industry in general as part of their livelihood.
Stephanie Jones-Stebbins with the Port of Seattle says the city's cruise industry relies on Canada. The Passenger Vessel Services Act requires that ships out of Seattle headed for Alaska have to stop at a foreign port, which in this case is Canada. The cruise industry shutdown has resulted in the loss of 5,500 jobs in the Seattle area and nearly $1 billion in business activity.
The cruise business in Seattle is a really significant economic engine, important part of our economy. Every time a cruise ship calls here, it's $4 million into the Seattle economy.
So every time a cruise ship lands here, $4 million coming to the economy. You have a restaurant that's right downtown, right within walking distance, actually, of where the boats dock. Man, how big of a? You just said it's a big impact. $1 billion. How's this impact you?
It's impacted my industry tremendously. I'm right in Belltown, and I mean, we also have the headquarters of Holland America right down the street from us as well. And I actually used to work for Holland America back in the day, and that industry is not just the cruise ships, it's the tour buses, it's all of that, restaurants, tours, everything. And it's a lot of money. I've just joined the board of Visit Seattle, which is part of the Washington Convention Center as well, and they bring in 90% of the tourism here in Seattle. And the reports that we're getting is just crazy.
Yeah. So direct impact, and people see a lot of people might have breezed past that. The people saw the story here about the cruise ships, but here you are, black-owned bit. Matter of fact, you're the only 100% black-owned restaurant in downtown Seattle, right?
Correct. I'm not the only black-owned restaurant, but the only 100% owned black-owned restaurant. Yes. Yeah. It impacts the industry tremendously downtown in that area. I mean, think about it. If you're from Seattle and you've ever visited the Pike Place Market as an adult and you've seen it like super packed, you're like, why is it so packed here? It's because of cruise ships. It's because of the cruise ships. They just docked and, tourists are getting off or about to get on, and they're going through the Pike Place Market, first. So it's the first stop. And, that whole industry right there is very important.
Just hit again. So it's like, man, COVID just keeps hitting and hitting. And speaking of that, and also the Jerk Shack, of course, is a restaurant, but it's also doubles as a venue sometimes. I saw this right here, the Seattle Times. This is by Michael Reitmolder, and it says Seattle music venues can finally reopen. So why are so many staying closed? And actually in here, he said that when the big problem is when you look at the requirements here, it's saying that they can open, but at 25% capacity, it's not cost effective for most venue operators or equitable. And it's just not really realistic for us. And that's from Dan Cowan over at the Tractor Tavern. And basically saying that like the only people who could really open are very big venues, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, an actual small venue. A small venue like yourself, if you're talking about 25%, people need to be 6 feet apart. Plus, it says that the performer needs to be at least 20 feet from the people in the venue. And so it's just a lot. It doesn't make sense for small venues to open.
It doesn't make economic sense at all for small venues to open in that capacity. I'm able to do it as a restaurant because I can seat people away and I have a little bit less restrictions than just a music venue. But if I was dependent on ticket sales for like a music venue, I would have to sell my tickets at like $1,000 a pop for it to make sense. It just doesn't make sense because you have to staff that event or that night, and you are cutting into a very small budget.
All right. So just because you can open doesn't mean that you can open.
Exactly.
All right, one more clip here. Wanted to bring something up, and I see Tony B is in the waiting room back there. We're running a few minutes late, Tony. Hope you can bear with us. Look how he gave me the thumbs up,
Tony.
So the Super Bowl. All right. So did you see the poem?
Yes, man. Amanda Gorman. Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Well, let's play the poem here. This was Amanda Gorman. This is the beginning of the Super Bowl, right before the coin toss. They played this poem right here.
Today, we honor our 3 captains for their actions and impact in a time of uncertainty and need. They've taken the lead, exceeding all expectations and limitations, uplifting their communities and neighbors as leaders, healers, and educators. James has felt the wounds of warfare, but this warrior still shares his home with at-risk kids. During COVID, he's even lent a hand live streaming football for family and fans. Tremaine is an educator who works nonstop, providing his community with hotspots, laptops, and tech workshops so his students have all the tools they need to succeed in life and in school. Susie is the ICU nurse manager at a Tampa hospital. Her chronicles prove that even in tragedy, hope is possible. She lost her grandmothers to the pandemic and fights to save other lives in the ICU battle zone, defining the frontline heroes, risking their lives for our own. Let us walk with these warriors, charge on with these champions, and carry forth the call of our captains. We celebrate them by acting with courage and compassion, by doing what is right and just. For while we honor them today, it is they who every day honor us.
Your thoughts, Trey?
Man, I loved it because it showed the Black faces and people who represent that industry and actually service of others in this nation, and not just the usual Barbie looking, hey, let's get this face on. And it shows real humans. And on a back note on that, I woke up this morning, turned on the news, and looked on my phone and saw that Trump's son has something negative to say about it. Right off the top, he said he didn't like the agenda that was being pushed right off the before kickoff.
Well, we have to remember that they also called this guy a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The NFL is super woke now, and when this guy right here was trying to wake up the NFL, just taking a quiet knee, just like, hey man, I want to bring awareness to. I mean, it's crazy because if you think about it, the cause that Colin Kaepernick was trying to raise awareness of was police killings of Black people, and he did so. And this one man, sometimes 2 or 3 man protests here taking a knee. And it took our country to go through all of this. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Where George Floyd and some of everything else, now NFL is super woke.
We didn't have to go through that. We didn't have to go through that to open our eyes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this guy took a knee there and in a football stadium and everything else. We saw some other people out in Washington, D.C. putting their feet up on the speaker's desk. And I mean, man, if Kaepernick was disrespectful, I don't know what that was. Yeah. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we've got Tony B. He's here. He's going to tell us what's going on with Rainier Avenue Radio this week for Black History Month. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us. Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, CashApp, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the morning update show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and we're joined by the dean of the class, Mr. Tony B of Rainier Avenue Radio, here to update us as to what's going on this week with all this Black History Month programming you have.
Oh, man, of course, I got to say, man, first of all, thank you to you and Converge. And you had Trey on the show this morning. Jerk Shack, what's up?
Going down.
Good to see you. Good to see you, young man.
Love you, man.
We do have an exciting Black History Month, of course, planned. A lot of stuff going on, and just this week, I'm really excited about what we've going on here. I want to punch up some stuff here. So starting tomorrow, Omari and Trey and everyone out there listening, in celebration and education of Black History Month, on Tuesday from 10:30 to 11, we've got our Northwest History Makers and Legacy guest, Omari Tahir Garrett, is going to be on tomorrow at 10:30 to 11 o'clock in the morning, sharing again his story about his contributions to Seattle Black history, Northwest Black history, and really this country's history, the things that he's engaged in and involved in. So excited to be able to have Omari come on the show and be able to hear from him directly. That's at 10:30. And then at 5:30, we'll be taking a look at the Black trans movement, our history. Guests include Cyan Doroshal from Glitz Incorporated and Shella Demure from the Unique Women's Coalition. And again, I think you're just going to find this really interesting. There are leaders in a number of different areas, of what it means in this experience of being Black. Then tomorrow, Tuesday, again, a lot going on Tuesday. Northwest Tap Connection will be performing at night from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, live from the historic Columbia City Theater. Again, another representation of our amazing history and the way that, just again, giving people a comprehensive view of who we are and what our experience is. Then on Wednesday, at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Tiffany Wilson performing live from the historic Columbia City Theater, Tiffany Wilson. Then on Friday, there's more. Again, our Northwest Pioneers and Legacy Builders will be airing programming from Don Mason at 9 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Our first Black 37th legislative representative. And then Bernie Foster, who some people may not know, but he was one of the founders of the Scanner, which again is the early Black press. Just an amazing story about the early Black press. What an incredible time period. And Omari, I'm sure you're aware of it, when you had the Facts, you had the spinoff and you had the Afro-American Journal, and then you had the Medium, and So Bernie will be on here to talk about the Scanner. And then 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., this is all on Friday, Elmer Dixon will be.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Elmer, I know he got a lot to say too.
Yes. And then I got a shot. Your mom will be on at 6:30 to talk about her illustrious legacy and contributions as a Northwest pioneer and legacy maker. And then Friday's loaded too. Then immediately after that, we'll be screening the film My People Are Rising by Aaron Dixon. So that's all going on Friday. And then to close the week out on Saturday, I think you guys might be old enough to remember this. We're going to have a live rap performance by OG Squeak Nutty Bug.
What? Can you bring my camera up? What?
Yes.
Wow.
Squeak Nutty Bug, again from the Columbia City Theater. And then on Sunday, we'll have a special broadcast timeline of the faith and legacy of Dr. King. So a broad spectrum of the Black experience for Black History Month coming up next week.
All right, Tony B, dean of the class. You know, Trey Lamont was just saying too, because I was trying to do my Tony B voice, and Trey was like, "Nah, man, can't nobody do Tony B like Tony B." Rainier Avenue, Ray. Can we put that banner back up real quick? We can tell people for all the stuff that Tony was talking about right here. You can go to the website RainierAvenueRadio.world. I mean, man, again, hats off. We commend you for this exceptional Black History Month programming that you've been putting together. And man, definitely, it's a lot of things in there, especially fit my time frame. I'll be tuning in too. I'll definitely be tuning in to see my mama.
Hey, man, you better. She tune in for you.
You better. All right, Tony B, we're gonna let you go. We'll see you next Monday.
All right, thank you again. Y'all take care. Happy Black History Month.
I know
Black
that's
History
right.
Month.
Man, you know, Tony's been doing a great job over there at Rainier Avenue Radio.
Yes, man. He's always been in our community a positive force and getting voices on the radio, either be at Cube 93 or KJR and stuff like that. And I mean, before Festival Sanjata was what it is right now, he was a part of that as well. You know, he's bringing that out.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's when he talks about these pioneers, you know, years from now, people will be looking back and they'll be talking about Tony B and what he's done in media in Seattle. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, it's all about Chef Trey Lamont, the Jerk Shack, Black Chefs, and Soul Food. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us. Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, CashApp, or PayPal at Converge Media.
It was pop.
All right, so now we're back. You know, we need that ad to fade. So it's the audio to fade, so we know a little. You know what I'm saying?
Hot mic.
I'm glad the conversation is always positive and upbeat back here. You know, when it comes in on it. All right, so Chef Trey Lamont, and before we get into Soul of Seattle, what's going on, and some of the food down at Jerk Shack and some of everything else. Man, it's a pleasure to have you here because one, you a bulldog, you know, I mean, down low. I don't tell people publicly, but you know, this is like the Garfield Network over here.
Hey,
right?
man,
you know
let it be. Let it be.
Like our little secret.
I mean, we got a few Quakers here and there every once in a while. You know, Dre-Z, you know, all those guys, you know,
a few people from Rainier Beach drop in,
couple,
but you know,
just a couple, but you know, the bulldog, the doghouse makes it happen.
Doghouse makes it happen. So before we get into all the big stuff, man, you know, we talked to you a year ago on the AC podcast. Actually, you sat down with KY King Garrett, and the question was like, what does the Central District mean to you, and what's it all about? Let me play this.
When I was growing up in the CD, we stayed in the CD or the South End, and the Black businesses that I remember seeing set the bar for me to own my own business, because I saw Jordan's, I saw Mr. and Mrs. Lowe's, I saw the sandwich shop, I saw Rogers, I saw Ezel's, aka the Bulldogs, Miss Helen's, Thompson's Point of View. I saw Oscars. All of these, Catfish Corner, you can't forget them. And those restaurants, stores, and businesses, legitimate businesses, set the bar for me. I'll never forget them. I'll never forget them. I remember going in to Jordan's or Miss Lowe's convenience store before there was any Middle Eastern or Korean, Asian stores in the CD or anything like that. You had Black-owned convenience stores that we supported, and they supported us.
Right.
I could go. My big mama could give me, some money and say, "Hey, go get me this." And if I didn't have enough, they would say, "Oh, you'll be back. Come back and bring it later."
Right. Community, real
exactly.
community.
It was community.
Real village, yeah.
That community we talk about, and I like playing clips like that. We got a lot of viewers, so a lot of who are new to Seattle, and they see the Central District and things like that, and a lot of people make an assumption that there was never this strong Black thriving, economically thriving Black community here in Seattle. Also, what I hear you saying though is that representation matters. You're an entrepreneur and a business owner yourself, but you grew up going to Black-owned businesses in the Central District.
Right. And for those who don't think that we had that, they would be wrong. They would be totally wrong. And I grew up seeing that and having that example around. And currently, we do have that, but it's very spread out. It's not condensed in, one space in a specific area at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're making strides to do so, but it was
the CD was popping. I mean, I won't take too much time on this, but I remember being a kid, like we never really had to leave our neighborhood. Every service was there, and it was like Black owned.
Yeah, I mean, I get envious when I visit family on the East Coast and go to a borough in Brooklyn or whatever, even though it's gentrified as well. But you still have neighborhoods that I have cousins that have never left their borough. Ever. And I say, you need to get out into the world. You need to leave this place and go see something. But the point is they are comfortable enough that they don't have to.
Right. Exactly. Now, when we talk about the Jerk Shack, from the Central District, Garfield High School, and I mean, you're a chef. This is a whole nother show to talk about all your other range of talents. This is one talented brother right here. But keeping it on the food and keeping it on the Jerk Shack, we talked to you just over a year ago, 13 months ago, and we talked to you about what's the vibe like at the Jerk Shack.
Our vibe here at the Jerk Shack is warm and it's community. I really want to stress the community of where I came from in the Central District of Seattle to allow us to have a hub. I want this to be a cultural hub for the folks that have been displaced around the city and scattered in the city, throughout the city and throughout the state, actually. And when they come to the Jerk Shack, they can see familiar faces that they grew up with. They can have that same feeling from when they used to go and eat at Catfish Corner or Miss Helen's. And they go, oh, okay, I remember this. I remember this feeling. It's familiar. This is grandma's house. And it's going to be good food coming to your table, nice and hot. And before it even touches your mouth, you're going to smell everything. So the aromatics of our food just bring you home. And if you look at any of my social media, I always tag my food with Melanin, because it goes that deep. Our food with Melanin is skin deep.
There it is. Our food with Melanin is. Why don't you expand a little bit on that?
Food with Melanin is our food, because what differentiates us and our culture from everyone else in the world is our melanin. But we are all human beings, right? There are some human beings that have a lack of melanin, but we as a people, the people with melanin have always treated them fairly and with love, and always welcomed them to eat at our table. And we haven't been given that same grace in history. So when I say food with melanin, I'm bringing food with humanity and love. So,
humanity, that's definitely a word that we like to use here.
Yeah.
On the morning update show. So we talked about the purpose, Jerk Shack. You talked about it there in the clip. It's a place of community coming together, some everything else. Let's talk about some of the food there, though, and why Caribbean food.
Man, Caribbean food is the Southern food of the South.
Yeah, I want you to explain it to our, because one of the tweets I put like the history of this soul food. Caribbean
food. I mean, I can't say this enough that our ancestors from slave descendants first touched down in the Caribbean islands and started growing crops and feeding our ancestors there first before moving, being transported, being traded to Texas, being traded to South Carolina, being traded to Louisiana. And before we got to the southern parts of the United States of America, we were in the southern parts of the Caribbean, and south of all those states I just named, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, South Carolina, is the Caribbean islands. And that's the true South. And the history of that food is very deep, just like the history of Southern cooking. And if you want to pay respect and homage to our ancestors and the culture and the food that has fed the whole world, you must start there. You have to go there. You have to go to the Caribbean and show respect to the Caribbean food, because the techniques and the style of cooking is the same. The only thing that's different is the ingredients. The ingredients and spices are going to be different, and the different types of rices and the different types. I don't mean like styles of rices as in like fried rices and like jollof and stuff like that. I mean like different grains, different strains of rice. You have so many different types that came from Africa, and and so many different seeds that came from different parts of Africa and that got smuggled across with those slaves on those slave ships, and the hairs, and like hidden on purpose, so that they could feed their families, that they knew that because of religious reasons and dietary reasons that, they had to grow those foods so that they could feed their family once they touched down.
Yeah, there's a whole history. I mean, we spent about an hour talking about this because it didn't even dawn on me. You're like, yo, man, the food in the South didn't start in the South. It started south of the South.
Yeah.
and into the Caribbean. I got a shot. I was in there actually the other day, the first day that we were able to do indoor dining. And I don't, it's not often that I pull out my media credential, because they're serving everybody's to-go containers.
Right.
And I was like, well, as a member of the media, I'd like to highlight your food on my show. So maybe you could, serve it as you would there. And so you brought out this big, tell us about it. What is this?
Well, that's our half chicken. That's our that's what we're known for, our jerk fried chicken. It's a half chicken. It's crusted with our jerk dry rub spice, which you can buy on the side as well. This is our pork belly, our Cuban spice pork belly with our verde sauce, garlic, cilantro, lime sauce on it. And it's normally served on those plates, but currently, because of the pandemic and we want to keep everyone as safe as possible, we're doing everything in disposable containers, recyclable and compostable containers, so that my servers and my bartenders can clean that space without touching folks' saliva and everything like that. Right. And they're doing it with gloves and with safe equipment and masks.
Real COVID setup when I was in there.
No,
definitely.
Exactly. We have barriers in between the tables, and we space the seats where people can sit 6 feet apart or more. And, we're able to just toss it into the compost. Now, it costs me extra money to do that, because I have forks, I have knives, I have a dishwasher, everything. We have the right chemicals to kill all of that. But just to be safe because we want to get rid of this so that we can open up 100%. So
right, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, Chef Trey Lamont is going to tell us all about the soul of Seattle. You're watching the Morning Update Show. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury and joined by Chef Trey Lamont. All right, Chef, it's Black History Month. We're at it again. It's the soul of Seattle. Tell us what's it all about.
Man, this is our second annual Soul of Seattle event. Our major host is Eduardo Jordan, who is Black entrepreneur, chef entrepreneur here, James Beard winner. He's amazing. He has 3 restaurants here in Seattle, June Baby, Solare, and Lucinda Grain Bar. And he's gotten a few Black chefs here for the second year in a row. The first year we had our event at the Northwest African American Museum, and it was amazing. Sold out event, had an outdoor tent that was heated, had DJ Top spinning at the event, which he's spinning this event as well alongside with Quest.
Oh.
Yeah. DJ Questlove.
Right.
He's DJing on there. He's our guest DJ. But it's a virtual setting this year. We have some amazing chefs like Chef Christy with Communion. She's oh my God. If you haven't checked out Communion, get your butt there. I just want to say that, we reached out to a lot of chefs in Seattle, a lot of Black chefs in the Seattle area. And everyone may not have gotten contacted or feel like they've gotten contact, but man, next year, man, if we can open up all the way, they're definitely going to be on the list for sure. We've reached out to the chefs from last year, but it's a shorter list this year, and it's okay. We're doing a highlighted virtual cooking event for different chefs, and we also have international chefs and national chefs like Marcus Samuelson. He's doing one with Chef Eduardo. Wow. That's gonna be dope. Like I checked out Marcus's restaurant in Harlem. That food was amazing as well. I had some brunch there, and mine is actually on the 19th. So if you haven't signed up, go to the Soul of Seattle website, and you can get your tickets there. And I mean, we have goodie gift boxes that are going out to folks and everything. And we have dinners, curated dinners from each one of the restaurants that you can get delivered to you, that are being delivered, or you can pick them up from the restaurants on their nights that they're.
So what are you gonna have on the 19th, fam?
Oh, what am I cooking, or what am I? What am I cooking on the video, or what am I cooking for folks at home?
I mean, I can't eat the video.
well, in my dinner, you're gonna get an amazing salad, green salad to start with, a mixed green salad with a mango lime coconut dressing. It's gonna be amazing. That's something light to start with, and then you have our curry goat. Now we make our own curry, right? We make our own dry rub curry. We toast the seeds, we grind them up ourselves and everything, and we make our own mixture and our own spice rub, and we season that goat real good, that goat meat, and then we braise it off, and make sure that it's just fall off the bone. And that's going to come with rice and peas, and or cilantro lime rice, garlic cilantro lime rice, and and some plantains, and you can't go wrong with that. It's just balance of on top of balance. And we have for dessert, we have our coconut milk caramel bread pudding, which we're famous for. And that caramel is made from coconut milk, and we just do it right. It just melts in your mouth. I know you've had it before. And I mean, actually, I know you've had it a few times.
I was about to say too many times. Oh, man, that sounds dope. And so and Nikki, can you put the website back up here again for where people can go? So Nikki's putting the website up there. You guys can check it out. This is a great event. I know, like last year, if I gauge it from last year, a real amazing event, especially how intentional and it has excited these chefs were last year, and I'm sure they are this year as well. It just hits a little bit different when it's your folks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll just be honest with you. You know, it was like me. I've done so many interviews. I've done so many whatever. But still, my biggest highlight of any interview I've done was with the Seattle Association of Black Journalists. And Joyce Taylor came here because I knew it was like, yo, this is us right here. And I'm talking to our people, you know, and so I've been on way bigger platforms, whatever. But doing that with the Black journalists, it was like, man, it's still a highlight for me if I was to say the last year. And I know that you guys were just so intentional about like, man, we got to bring it. This is our people right here.
Look, we are bringing Black wineries around the nation, not just in Washington. We got only basically like one here, but we also have the Black breweries with Mathieu providing, like, those things are going to be in the bags being delivered as well. Like, it's amazing. So like, there's different packages that you can purchase. Just go to the site, check it out, and you can kind of curate your own, you know. All
right, good stuff. So listen, tell people, because people want to support your business, you know, and man, you've been fighting, and it's interesting because, like I said, we've documented this fight. We have so many more interviews here. Oh, so many more interviews here that we didn't play. Let me see if I can get something uploaded here. But if you can tell people how do they get up with you? What do they need to do? You know, I mean, what, you know, it's in your. Break it down. People want to come eat. What are all the options?
Look, we're open since COVID, only on the weekdays at the moment. Hopefully we can get to the weekends, but Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you can make reservations on our website, jerkshackseattle.com. But if you don't make a reservation, don't fret. Just call your order in at 4 p.m. and, you know, you can pick it up. And we can be to go. If you want to dine in, we are taking walk-in, but if we're too busy, you know, make a reservation. Like I said, jerkshackseattle.com. You can check us out, Jerkshack Seattle on Instagram and Facebook, and, you know, get all the information there.
All right. Let me see if I can find this here real quick. I don't think I'm going to get it up in time. But I will say this, Chef. It was a pleasure to actually come there the other day and to see the vibe, to see, man, you guys just back working.
What was your favorite drink? That's what I want to know.
Man,
what was your favorite cocktail?
Hold on, I got a clip right here. I was able to get it. This was actually, and I want people to look now. You can gauge how far we've come, at least in our video production. This was back at Studio B on the couch. And you actually, Trey Holiday asked you to share something that, even though there's so many negative things that was going on with COVID, she asked you to share something positive that you would experience. And here it is.
So we kind of wanted to ask you if you have seen any kind of, you know, the best examples of human nature during this time.
Well, I went to school with a gentleman called Mark Monroe and his wife, who I went to school with as well, Erica Monroe. I did their wedding at the Northwest African American Museum a few years ago, and they drove all the way from Auburn yesterday to come pick up food, and Mark was willing to pay for other people's food last night, and his bill came up to $130-something dollars, and he tipped my 2 employees that were working, my sous chef and my dishwasher, $3,000 to split. So he tipped them $3,000, and that was amazing.
You know, I live for these warm, fuzzy moments, so I had to find that one.
Hey, man, Mark is still doing the work of the people. If you guys have not checked him out, he's been giving stock tips and teaching folks how to trade and invest in the stock market and long-term, short-term. His network has gotten so much higher since that time. I mean, I think at one point, at that point, it was his IG was at like maybe 800 something people. Right now, man, this guy is at like over 30 something thousand or plus something people, because when he does his live his live classes, and he's making people money. He's making a lot of people money.
Listen, the brother can leave a $3,000 tip. I'm inclined to watch his video. We're getting ready to get out of here, so you gotta take a stand. You gotta stand up.
Man, shoot.
So we're gonna get ready to get out of here. I want to tell everybody, man, support this brother. Support the Jerk Shack Seattle. Man, Trey Lamont is a treasure from our neighborhood, the Central District, Garfield High School. A treasure for the whole Emerald City, though. And the food is good. And man, you are consistently work well beyond your restaurant. You commit in so much of your time and energy to community issues. And, I really want to acknowledge and thank you for that.
Man, much appreciated. My work's never going to stop, restaurant or not. So
I like that. Can't stop, won't stop. All right. So programming note here real quick. 3:00 today, King County Equity Now. They're ready to talk to the public and update everybody as to what they've been doing. And so we're going to carry that live. So at 3:00, wherever you're watching the morning update show, you can watch King County Equity Now. I guess it's a press conference or a community update. So we'll carry that. We're back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. And as usual, before I get out of here, I want to remind all of you to go forward in your purpose and in humanity. Until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Peace.
Lift every voice and sing, dealer than heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.